Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Leila and today I'm back with another video. Today's video is a bit of an unusual video because usually my channel focuses on fashion, style, and beauty. Today's video, however, is going to be about my professional journey, about my journalism journey. As you guys know, I'm a full-time journalist, and in the past, I have made quite a few videos related to studying journalism. This channel actually was started when I was still a journalism student. So I was documenting how I was writing my thesis, how my everyday life looked like. And then I graduated and I kind of didn't update you guys really on my journey. I didn't share my path unless you follow me on Instagram. You probably don't even know that I actually work as a journalist, but I never really sat down and updated you guys on my career path. So in today's video, I want to do exactly that, and the reason for that is I feel like my last video related to journalism, I think it was top 10 jobs you can get with a journalism degree, something like that. Recently, it has been getting a lot of views, and when I just published it, it actually was getting 0 to no views, kind of, and I was like, oh damn, like I really thought it's gonna be, you know, helpful for people. But now it's been like 3 years later and somehow a lot of you are discovering my channel through that video. So I'm receiving comments or DMs on Instagram asking me how to become a journalist. And you know, I think everyone's path is so different and unique. There are so many different factors that affect your career in any sphere, but especially in journalism, that I cannot give you an exact answer how to become a journalist. However, I can share with you my path, which definitely hasn't been an easy one. Definitely, I'm not privileged, you know, everything I have achieved so far, everything I have become, it is because of hard work that I put in. And if my story can inspire other young aspiring journalists, I will be so happy. And just for my regular viewers to kind of know my other side, I think that's also gonna be interesting for you guys. So today we're sitting in this book corner that I have at my living room because I feel like it suits the vibe more. So without further ado, let's begin. First of all, of course, when I was a child, I didn't always want to be a journalist. I wanted to become a singer, an actress. At some point, I wanted to be a lawyer like my dad. I wanted to be like my dad in general. Like, my dad was always kind of like icon to me, and my desire to become a singer was never approved by my father, even though I went to music school, etc. So I kind of wanted to study something that my dad would approve. And as a very artistic theater kid, I always loved attention, but attention not just when I walk into the room and people look at me. I love attention when I do something, I produce something, I'm acting, and people pay attention to me that way. So it's not like a vanity thing, it's just more of an artistic thing, I think. Everyone who has any creative energy, we create to find our viewers, you know, our audience, and that's just the truth. Also, when I was a child, I was a lot of times kind of acting like I'm a TV host on MTV, and I'm like presenting top 10 hot music videos right now. I don't know why, it was so fun to me, and I loved watching America's Next Top Model and imagining that I am Tyra Banks, not because of the modeling thing, but because I really loved TV. I really wanted to be on TV. I loved watching fashion TV and like those girls that like interview celebrities or whatever and like ask, what do you think about this show today? Like, I wanted to do that. So as a child, I wanted to do a lot of different things. However, it was only during my school years when it kind of started coming all together. I was always a child that was pretty much a lot of time on her own as an only child, and I wasn't really having many friends and people who wanted to hang out with me. So a lot of times I was just in my room and reading a lot, and I was always in my own space, dreaming about different reality, you know, and growing up and becoming who I want to be. So books were always there for me, and also my diary. I was probably very typical type of a child that you can imagine. Like, I was writing in my diary everything that's happening. I'm reading books. And that was me always, you know. And then when school, like the older I would get at school, I would like participate in different events, and I really wanted to host those like concerts that we had. So for me, that was so cool to become a host of this whole event. I felt like a badass. And also I decided to give life to our school newspaper, which, you know, didn't go so well because it was all kind of on me, and our school just didn't have enough people and equipment to make it happen. I literally had to print it out myself, you know, and like use a stapler and like put together newspaper and then give it out, you know. So it was just like a lot of technical responsibilities that I was not gonna go through once more. So I literally produced one newspaper as an editor-in-chief, and then I was like, okay, moving on. I really don't know when exactly I made up my mind that I'm gonna study journalism, but I remember thinking about it, and I brought it up to my dad because, as I said, I always needed my dad's approval for whatever I'm doing. And I was like, I want to be a journalist. And he was like, that's a good career choice. And I was like, oh my god, my dad finally approves my choice. Like, amazing, love that. So journalism was my safe kind of way, and I wanted to become a singer, actress in the future, but I was like, well, at least, you know, I'll have a journalism degree and I'll work as a journalist if anything goes wrong, right? And so the more I was living with that idea, like, once I graduate, I'm gonna become a journalist, the more comforting it was for me, the more I could see my future and imagining myself being a journalist. Like, the more I thought about it, the more it made sense to me. I love talking, I love writing, I love reading, I love talking to people, I love just, you know, sharing my perspective. So it was just like good choice, you know, the more I thought about it. And then at the age of 15, I think, or 16, I started my fashion blog, which now doesn't exist, so don't ask me. And I really loved writing there more than taking photos, etc. But I was doing more like fashion blogs, so people cared more about photos and stuff. It just didn't feel like fully what I want to do, you know. So I was never taking it seriously, but I do think that having that fashion blog really was helpful for my writing skills, and overall those skills that I got by running a website came to me later in life as very useful skills. So it's really funny how, as an unemployed teenager, I was just sitting in my room on Tumblr or WordPress or Blogspot, I think it was called, and like learning all these you know, technical things about running a website. And now it's actually one of the things that are being useful when you apply for a job as a journalist, copywriter, editor. We'll get to that later, but remember that this experience at 16 was more than I could possibly imagine when I was going through it. So I think it's also important to mention that I am originally from Kazakhstan. I lived there until I was 18. Then I moved to Malaysia. I didn't stay there long. I moved to Malaysia to study I think it was media marketing, I think it was called. So I was like, okay, it's close enough to journalism, let me go and study that. And when I arrived there, first of all, I didn't really feel like it's my city. Like, I just was crying all the time, I wasn't happy. And then when I saw my schedule, I saw that, I don't know, that university, media marketing there had a lot of like accounting and like numbers, and I was terrified because I'm really bad with numbers. I'm really bad with anything that's not humanitarian sciences, you know, because I'm just good with literature, languages, writing, all of that, but not numbers, not science, you know, actual like physics, chemistry, all of that. So I was terrified. I dropped out of college in Malaysia, went back to Kazakhstan, and here's the period that really I think was a stepping stone for my journalism career, and that's why I need to like explain this to you. So I was depressed after I came back from Malaysia. I was like studying Spanish. I didn't know what to do. All of my classmates from high school were moving on with their lives. Many moved away, like moved abroad. I was like isolated because obviously society viewed me as a loser, let's be honest, and I honestly felt myself as such. So Spanish at this time was the only thing that interested me, so I went with that. And then I traveled to my dad's home country because I'm half Azerbaijani. So I went to Azerbaijan for 1 month, and I feel like being in the land of my people, where my ancestors lived their whole lives, where generations of my grandparents lived, it was something powerful to me that really made me see like this is where my dad came from, and where I am now, it's thanks to the dedication and persistence that my dad had. So I have no right to give up. So I feel like that really switched something in my brain. And when I came back to Kazakhstan, I decided I'm gonna get a job. I don't know what I want to study, I don't know anything, but I know I need to get a job because I just can't sit in my room and cry about life, you know. So I turned 19 and I got a job at a fashion magazine in Kazakhstan. It's called BLVD. It's like very like hipster, I feel like, at the time, magazine that was established in Almaty, and it was this cool magazine that all the cool people in the city were talking about. And I was like super excited when I got an internship there, and after 1 month of being an intern I got a full-time position. And you know, because I was so young and I didn't really have any work experience before, I was just kind of like not really knowing what I was doing. Like I was just doing something, like helping out. And I feel like that's what you need to know. Your first job as a journalist will always be very minimalistic type of position. You will be either an intern or just helping out or just an assistant, and it's not easy, but you shouldn't give up, because this is that experience that you will take further in life. And these experiences in our career are so important, even more than in other careers, because in journalism your experiences matter more than your degree, and I'll get to that also. So I spent there, April, May, June, July, August, September. So I was there for about half a year, and then I left because I was moving to Prague to study journalism. So this idea, basically I was struggling deciding where to go to study, mostly because of financial restraints, because my dad already paid for my education in Malaysia and I just dropped out. I felt guilty and I didn't want to like commit to something without knowing if it's for sure for me. So that's why this full-time position at a fashion magazine was eye-opening to me. I knew that I love this job. Like it wasn't my perfect job, like in terms of like what I was doing, because I wasn't writing that much. I was just, you know, helping out. But eventually I did get promoted to a social events editor. So I was basically covering events in the city. And because magazine at the time was just print magazine, I think maybe now they became digital. I actually don't know, I don't keep up with them, but I'm very grateful for that first experience that I had at that magazine. But at the time they were just like a print magazine, I think biannually or maybe each season, every 3 months basically. I don't remember for sure, but it was a completely different experience. So because I was a social events editor, I was covering social events, I was a lot of times out there taking photos, talking to people. So I was like a reporter, but of course it's a fashion magazine, so I wasn't reporting on like politics, and it never was for me to cover politics. Okay, so this was like really awesome position for me, and as a 19-year-old I had anxiety, and at the time I didn't know that was anxiety. I was always shy and I was like super nervous to do it. Now at 27, I would kill at it, you know, but at the time I was like, oh my god, how to do it. I'm excited, but I was just like very shy. So I was learning everything there. I was learning how to reach out to PR people to know about all the events happening in the city so I could get invited, so they would know I am the, you know, social events editor at this magazine. It was a really interesting experience, and when I was leaving the magazine, I felt like I got everything from there, because I really always felt like I need more, you know. So I didn't want to be just a girl that's running around. I wanted to actually know what I'm doing. I wanted to be a qualified journalist. That's why the decision to study journalism came at the right time. I was ready, I was prepared. I passed, I think TOEFL I was doing, or IELTS, I think IELTS. So basically, if you don't know, IELTS and TOEFL are language tests, like English language tests for people who are from non-English speaking countries. So if you got your degree at high school, you need to pass this language test to prove that you know English and basically can continue your studies in English. And so I did that, and I applied and I got in, and basically then I moved to my university. From 2015 till 2018 I was studying, and here is the big mistake that I made while I was a journalism student. I was not pitching to magazines or newspapers, anything in the city, in Europe, anywhere else. I was just studying, and this is a big mistake that I've made, and I want you to take it away from this video. Please, if you're a journalism student, start internships as soon as possible. Start pitching. Try to get as many stories published as possible. Don't sit waiting for the day when you graduate and then you will start it. Maybe it's obvious to some people, maybe a lot of you already are doing that. Of course, I did an internship for my university, but it was a credit thing, so I was just doing it for my university. I didn't know that you have to start as soon as possible getting your stories published, because in the media world, your degree doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, cool, okay, but can you show us what you did? And if you haven't done anything, I'm sorry, but it's gonna be really difficult for you to grow, as it was for me. And that's why I'm making this video, to share with you guys that it was difficult, but here I am today. Even though I wasn't working during my studies, I had an amazing time studying. I was studying in Prague at Anglo-American University. I had amazing professors, which some of them weren't that amazing. Like, now that I think about it, there's a lot of elitism in journalism, and white, middle-aged males are dominating still the industry. So I was really trying to get approval of people who did not walk my path and don't know what it's like to be a minority, a non-native English speaker trying to pursue their degree in a foreign language in a foreign country, trying to manage visa and all of that. And now that I know all of that, as someone in her late 20s, I look back at that and I realized that I was trying to get approval of people who would never last a day in my shoes, you know, because they are born into privilege, and anywhere they go in the world, they are a privileged white male figures, you know. And we all know that anywhere in the world, the whiter the skin, the more benefits you get. And if you're still sleeping on that, I don't have to prove anything to you, and it's just agree to disagree, but you're wrong and I'm right, so there's that. However, those professors that were great, and even though they were white middle-aged men, they were great, and a lot of them really inspired me, or like gave me the knowledge that made me realize that I am a journalist. And it was during my university days when I realized that there's nothing better for me than journalism. And it's when I realized that I am a journalist and I claim my territory and I will succeed in this. From what I know, a lot of people that I studied journalism with did not really become journalists, so it really makes me happy that I was able to stick to my chosen path. Not that, you know, people who change their minds are like wrong or anything, no, but for me personally, I'm really glad that I was able to make it in this industry, or like stay in the industry. So when I was graduating and writing thesis, it was a very difficult period for me. And even though I learned so much at university and I gained so many skills and I got knowledge, I wasn't able to get a job until I finally got a job, basically at this local political media company that's actually funded by the US government. And I really was hesitant to go there and work for them because I really don't like political journalism. I never wanted to cover politics. I never wanted to have anything to do with it. I have my own political beliefs and my position as an activist, but as a journalist, I really don't want to report on politics. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It makes me really sad, upset, and it's all too much for me. So I always wanted to be a fashion journalist, culture, lifestyle, basically that's it. I really never wanted to be part of political journalism, but yet I got that position. So for a year after my graduation, I worked at that company, but as a coordinator, which is basically like assistant to archives department. So it was very boring, and that's where I want to tell you, your first few jobs will not be exciting unless like maybe you're really lucky and you just ended up at the company you always wanted to be at from the beginning, you know. But I think a lot of times it takes some time to get to where you want to be in life. So my first job, well, it was actually my second job, but my first job after graduating, it wasn't exciting at all. It was really depressing. I hated working there because it's like political stuff. It was dark and like gloomy. Like that's how my life felt. So I really didn't want to stay there, so I made a decision to move from Prague to Slovenia because my husband proposed to me. At the time, he was my boyfriend, obviously, and we decided to just go for it. We were doing long distance and we were over it, you know. We were young and reckless. We were 24 and we got married, so I moved to Slovenia, to Ljubljana for 2 years. And that's where my journalism career kind of stopped, where I was really trying to get my articles published, get a job, etc. And I was only able to get some gigs as a copywriter, proofreader, and it was like not really successful, you know. So it was really depressing for me because, you know, I was always a person who saw her life connected to her career. So for some women or men, you know, it's family that matters the most. Or conventionally, you know, women are being raised that you need to become a mother, wife, and take care of the family. I never wanted that for myself. I always saw myself as a strong, independent woman, and my career was always so important to me. So those 2 years that I spent without being able to grow and be a journalist, I really started doubting myself. My self-esteem got lower. The only thing that was saving me was my YouTube channel. It was the only place where I could be myself, where I could still feel like I matter and I did not F up my life, you know. So it was a very difficult period, and why I'm telling you this is because I feel like people don't talk enough about failures, which I don't think it was a failure. This sun is really hitting me, you guys. It's always the case when I'm filming. Like, why is it happening? Of course it wasn't a failure. It's just sometimes in life these things happen, and sometimes you make a decision that might not be good for your career, but it was good for my personal life because I got married. I married my best friend, my husband that always supported me. Sometimes you need to be patient, and I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, you will get there, just please don't give up. We'll be there. Just don't give up, don't be sad. You'll go through it like you always did. So last year we moved back to Prague, and that's when stuff started happening for me. Prague is definitely the city that lets you to be an expat and still succeed, and that lets you be yourself. And that's why I'm so grateful to be here. It's definitely a place to be for expats. Maybe there are better cities, countries for expats, foreigners to be successful in. But from my experience, Prague has let me not only stay but also live my best life in terms of my career, not having to settle for less. So in January this year, I finally got my job as an editor of a magazine. I worked there for 9 months. It was my first experience running a magazine on my own, and it was very difficult and tough. My main responsibilities included, of course, running the magazine and curating the content we're publishing and managing the team of writers. On top of that, when I came to that magazine, it barely had any writers, so I had to find and employ new freelance writers that would work on the content. I needed to come up with new ideas for that magazine. It was online magazine, by the way, not print. The only time I worked for print magazine was my first experience back home in Kazakhstan. And by the way, I forgot to mention, during my uni days, the only writing work experience I had was at my university magazine, Lennon Wall. So I do recommend to do that if you cannot get a job or get your articles published in any news media outlet in your country or abroad. At least try to get your stuff published at your university magazine, newspaper, website, whatever. So that's something that definitely was helpful. It's better than nothing. Having at least those articles published in the beginning was really very helpful. So after doing freelance copywriting, proofreading in Slovenia, coming into journalism sphere yet again and reclaiming my space and realizing that dreams come true and there is a second chance for all of us, made me feel like I got this. The sun is hitting me and it's hot. It's really hot. Okay, I hope it's better now, but I'm almost done, so let's wrap it up before the sun starts hitting me more. Anyways, so I did that for 9 months. It was a very interesting experience, and I'm so grateful that I was able to get that job. In my life, I had many obstacles, especially in my career journey. And with this video, I wanted to share with you that even though I make videos giving you guys tips on how to be a journalist and stuff like that, and I get many questions from you asking how to be a journalist, the thing is, there's no recipe. You just need to continue trying. Even when you get a no, you still need to pitch, you still need to look for something, you still need to write, you still need to produce ideas. Never give up. So if anything, I hope this video was able to inspire you and to show you that dedication and dreams and commitment and hard work take you places. And of course, I still have my goals for my career, but right now I'm just happy to be working as a journalist, to be able to say I am, as a matter of fact, a journalist, because for 2 years that I was in Slovenia, I felt like I can no longer even call myself a journalist. I got a journalism degree, yes, but am I working as one right now? No. And I want to also say, for those who are struggling to get a job as a journalist, journalism is a calling. It's not a profession that you go into to make money and stuff like that. It's a calling. It's just something inside of you that you cannot stop doing. So if you feel that calling inside of you, if you feel that need to be a journalist, to talk to people, to be their voice, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how many articles you publish. It doesn't matter what degree you have. It really does not matter. What matters is what's inside of you. And if you know that there's nothing in this world that you want to do more than journalism, period, point blank, just stick to it and eventually you will get there. If this video was inspiring and helpful, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to know my news and to know more about me, my life. Also, if you love style and fashion, I do put out lookbooks every now and then. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more journalism related content, also let me know in the comments. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!